She fought for what she believed in.
So anyway, so in the Laguna case, here's the thing. In a regular lawsuit, the principal's liable for the torts of their agent. So if I'm driving a Coca-Cola truck for a Coca-Cola company, and I am delivering Coca-Cola to the supermarket, and I accidentally run a red light and hit somebody, Coca-Cola is responsible for it.
Is the Respondeat Superior principle?
Yeah, yeah. It's basic agency law. Up till 1978, that's the way it was in a federal civil rights case. Post 1968, no. 1978. 1978 is a case called Monell versus Department of Social Services.
Monnel changed everything.
Yeah, it did. Just like Graham. And Monell said, well, no Respondeat Superior liability for a Section 1983 violation. So generally, that's not a problem because you got to sue the cop anyway. You got to sue them personally, and then
Except qualified immunity.
Well, you still got to sue them personally. But qualified immunity is so abused. Qualified immunity used to be called good faith immunity in the 80s.
Right.
So the officer has to
required good faith.
But a reasonably good faith mistake about the law.
Right. Which made some sense.
Well, sort of. But it was a subjective
But it was a subjective test. Right.
Right, but it's not subjective anymore.
Right. Now
it's just ridiculous.
A standard that's
The qualified immunity, cops just got off last year in JSSOP versus City of Fresno, a Ninth Circuit case, published decision, where the Ninth Circuit had the audacity to say that a reasonably well-trained officer wouldn't know that it was an unreasonable seizure of the person's property to steal $226,000 of the $276,000 you seized pursuant to a search warrant.
Right. How does a reasonable cop not know that stealing money is wrong? How is that possible?
Well, they know it's morally wrong and a crime, but there's no case that said it. No, you can go, and then there's case law that says, well, there doesn't have to be a prior case on point if the illegality is obvious.
Okay.
Listen, we don't need to get rid of qualified immunity. We just need for Congress to say
Respondeat Superior.
Respondeat Superior, and then it's a dead issue because entities don't get qualified immunity. It's all over. Everything's fixed. Everybody's happy.
Right. Well, so you and I disagree just slightly on that because I feel that having personal financial liability is more likely to change the behavior of individual law enforcement officers. But you didn't agree with me on that. Yeah.
No, but you're wrong, and I'll tell you why.
Why? Tell me why.
Because it's never going to happen, and the reason is because in 825 of the Government Code in California, the city can indemnify the cops for punitive damages. They have to pay the cops compensatory damages, no matter what. If he takes out a gun and murders 50 people, they still got to pay his compensatory damages under 825 of the Government Code. They can pay punitive damages if they elect to do so. But if you have an agency that is not going to pay punitive damages, you're not going to have any officers.
Then people won't sign up for it. You're saying that it's ineffective. Okay.
What I'm saying is that there's zero chance that an officer is ever going to have to pay a nickel out of his pocket for any of it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So it's an ineffective aspirational goal. It's never going to happen.
It's a pipe dream that'll never happen.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So the best remedy. Look. None of these guys are individual. Whatever. If you get punitive damages, that's enough to dig out of their career. It is. It's a mark. They got to divulge that. They're less credible as a witness. They're less valuable as an officer. So, but look. The reason I was saying about the Watts thing is because this is what I asked the cops. I said, look, when you're in a situation where to restrain somebody in a manner, or to do a search in a manner, or to point a gun or not to point a gun in a manner, in other words, to do what you think is going to enhance your safety, you know it'd be unconstitutional, but nonetheless it would enhance your safety. Do you choose the constitutional route, or do you choose the more safe route? And every single cop out of about 1,000 that I've asked that to has said, I choose the safe route. Right. And so I've got an article on my website. It's the the modern police state officer safety replaces probable cause, Fourth Amendment jurisprudence. So they don't give a crap. I mean, they don't have to pay, and they're not going to have to pay. It does affect their pay grade.
Right.
It does affect their promotability.
Right. That's true, and I think they care about that.
They care about their pension.
Yeah.
They don't care if they blow your head off or smash your skull in. They just care about their pension. Look, these guys. By the way, cops don't know the law.
No.
If you think they do, you're mistaken.
Oh, I don't think any auditor thinks that cops know the law.
No, but look. You know, look.
They're terribly misinformed.
Here's the way things go in jury trial. And if you sue a cop, it's going to end up in federal court because you got to make a federal claim, you know, because that's where the juice is. And so whether you file in state court or federal court, you're still going to end up in federal court. They'll remove it from state court. And you got to have a unanimous jury in federal court. Now you need 6 for a civil verdict, but they usually put 8 on there. And they all deliberate. There's no alternates. So you got to get 8 people on your side. And that's the reality of suing the police, number 1. You got to get all 8 going on.
Right.
Number 2, the general rule is, and it's just human behavior. You don't have to be a Perry Mason to figure this out. Juries give money to people they like, and they don't give money to people they don't like. It's really simple. Jerry Spence, the great trial lawyer, said one time that he absolutely murdered the defense, the insurance company's expert witness, just destroyed the guy on the stand. And he lost the case. He couldn't understand why he lost the case. And some jury walked up and said, "Why did you make us hate you so?"
Wow, what an insight.
Okay, so to all you auditors out there?
Yes. Hey, listen up, viewers. Listen up, because this is the most important advice that you're ever going to get from an attorney who has spent his entire career suing the cops. Listen to this, auditors. Go ahead, Jerry.
Don't be an idiot and don't be a jerk. Just say what you have to say and shut your mouth. Nobody wants to hear you say, "I do not consent, I do not consent." They want to hear it 50 times. You don't need to say it at all. Consent isn't presumed. You know? And when you address the officer, act polite. Yes, officer. No, officer. Thank you. You know? And don't tell him you know your rights. Number 1, because you don't. Because you ain't a lawyer. So don't think you do because you're in some goofy thing on the internet. Or some of your goofy friends told you about it. You don't know jack shit about rights, okay? Okay, you know a few things. So don't presume, don't tell the cops you know your rights because that's going to just set them off.
It's antagonistic.
Yeah, just be polite. Make somebody a trier of fact, whether it be a judge, because a judge can make a case come out any way they want to.
That's actually a very good point. And I think that auditors may not realize the impact that judges have.
And if they think you're a jerk, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to even make it to a jury. And if you think just because the law dictates a certain result that that's going to happen, you're mistaken, okay? That's not the world. There's something called the Unpublished Opinion, which is the toilet bowl for your case that they don't like, which may have merit, but still goes flushed down with the rest of the feces down the toilet bowl, okay? They do whatever they want. I had an 8-month long motion to suppress evidence in the U.S. District Court in Santa Ana, federal court. I caught the FBI lying and cheating. I thought the judge was going to pass out right on the bench. 8 months. He let the evidence in anyway. Went to the Ninth Circuit.
He let the evidence in anyway?
Well, there's something called the Doctrine of Inevitable Discovery.
Okay. All right. So they would have found that anyway. Okay.
Well, you know, it's
all right.
Nix versus Williams. The Christian Western Burial case, the girl in the open field in the culvert.
Right.
So, I mean, I had a fake grand jury subpoena from a grand jury that wasn't sitting, with a foreign signature of the U.S. attorney by the FBI.
What?
Who had faxed, this is before the computers, had faxed California Federal Bank's private law firm, who was representing them, to change the locks on a building they foreclosed on rather than go through unlawful detainer proceedings, and allow, and now that since they've illegally changed the lock of a client's building that they foreclosed on, without a court order, to now declare them the custodian of his records, to give his records to them pursuant to a grand jury subpoena that doesn't exist.
Oh, that is insane.
Okay,
that is
it
some
was a
insane.
30-day long search and constant lies by the FBI.
Wow.
And so it's the greatest appeal of a denial of a motion to suppress evidence ever,
Yeah, I bet.
and at least in the Western states. And you know what the Ninth Circuit did with it?
What did they do with
They just never addressed it, like nobody ever raised it.
Oh my God.
So they addressed the speedy trial argument, which was meritorious, but
They ignored the rest of it.
There is no law. The law is merely a calculation of probabilities of what's based on circumstances that continue to change,
Right.
legally and factually.
Right.
So when you're out there, look, it's like, I hate lawyer shows. I hate them. I just hate them. Because there's always, the prosecutors testifying or the defendant. It's ridiculous. It's not reality.
It's fiction. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not how it works. It's not what happens. But anyway, but there's a movie, A Few Good Men, with Tom Cruise and
Yep.
Demi Moore,
I remember,
Kevin Bacon, and Jack Nicholson. And in the movie, Tom Cruise says, a trial is an exercise in placing blame. And he's exactly right. A trial is an exercise in placing blame. And if the jury detects or thinks or believes that you're taunting the cop to get a reaction, that you can then say, ha ha, ooh, ooh, I got you, and then go sue them, you're not getting jack shit from them, okay? You get $1. There you go. Okay? They're just people like everybody else. But if you act like a polite, decent person, because whether or not you respect the cops, and I don't respect them at all, zero, but whether or not you respect them, and that's only because every single time I deal with them, all they do is lie, cheat, steal, and try to frame somebody or murder,
Right. That's
whatever.
the auditors will tell you they've had the same experience. But
Right,
juries,
okay.
you're saying, do have
most
respect.
of the auditors are picking a fight with the cops. They're out there sticking their camera out there, just sticking their nose in there and being a pain in their ass. Now, nobody likes being videoed, by the way. It's not just the police professional. I bet the auditors would feel pissed if somebody videoed them.
Well, I mean, they video they video government officials. They go into City Hall. They do other things besides the police. But
just don't act like an idiot.
Was a no woman in this life, short upon the earth now was her time. Of all the seeds she'd sown and the people she had known, deeply did she touch the soul of mine. She called a spade a spade. She stood on the edge of reason, and even faced with death until her final dying breath. She fought for what she believed in,